What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so one of the biggest surprises in the sports world over the past, I'd say week or so has been the departure of Molly Qerim from ESPN. It was first reported maybe a week ago now. Or a little bit over a week ago. I think her last day was Monday. So almost a week ago now, it was reported. And it was reported that she would be leaving or departing ESPN when her contract runs out at the end of the year. Apparently, this was leaked early before Molly Qerim had intended to make this announcement. And then on Instagram, she put out a message where she announced that instead of at the end of the year, she would be resigning immediately. She no longer is with the network. And a lot of people have been speculating about why such the abrupt departure. And Stephen A. Smith, of course, on his podcast came out and said that he suspects he knows the reason why, but it's nobody's business. But then he proceeds to go into a soliloquy into which he gave many context clues as to why she left. And it seems from the two-faced hot dog nosed bastard that it was financial. Okay, at least that's what he was hinting at. Former ESPN and Fox Sports personality Marcellus Wiley recently came out on his podcast and claimed to know the real reasons why Qerim, who had hosted First Take since 2015, chose to leave. He said, quote, "Let's go behind the scenes because Burke Magnus just told us that," and Burke Magnus is the ESPN president of content. Okay. So Burke Magnus just told us that, hey, it got out of our hands because Molly confirmed that report, but put some immediacy on it that we weren't expecting. We both were kind of on the same page of, let's just ride this out to the end of the year after your contract's over, and then peace. So this is Wiley. Let's just reframe everything first. Reset. Molly went to work on Monday, right? Finished her job on Monday, left without ceremony, went home, and then a report comes out. That report comes out the next morning. Instead of Molly showing up to work, she puts out an Instagram post. Wiley pointed out that Qerim, who first started working at ESPN back in 2006, did not mention Stephen A. Smith in her message, which he interprets as a sign that all is not well between the two. He also found it noteworthy that Magnus and Smith had spoken about her after the departure. So I'm assuming what he's kind of insinuating here is that they may have had a conversation regarding Molly and her, contract negotiations, whether she's worth a particular figure she might be trying to reach. I'm just speculating here, but he seems to be indicating something along those lines. Wiley worked at ESPN from 2007 to 2018 and stated that they usually wouldn't speak about talent that's left the company. He brought up how Smith didn't even show up for Max Kellerman's last day on First Take. Quote, "This is what's going on behind the scenes on the real. Molly was going through a contract negotiation, obviously, and that was not going well, obviously, because Molly wasn't getting what she wanted. What did Molly want? Molly wanted to do other things at the network, which include hosting her own show. They weren't signing off on her not only hosting another show, but doing other shows within the network. Wilder stated that Qerim was reportedly making about $500,000 a year, while Smith was at $20 million. She wanted more money as the second most important person on First Take, but her higher-ups, including Smith, disagreed. Quote, they didn't feel that she was killing it to the point where they would make her a better offer. And when I say we, I'm not just talking about Burke Magnus. I'm not just talking about all the other bosses that Stephen A. Smith mentions. I'm talking about Stephen A. Smith as well. Because remember, he's an executive producer on that show. And as he will always remind you, that's his show. Wiley then suggested that while it was often mentioned that Smith and Qerim had a good relationship, they actually didn't get along. Quote, one of the worst kept secrets in the business is that they have a good relationship. They don't, right? They kind of tire on each other, etc. Not going to go into all the messy details, but the point is they weren't cool with each other to the point someone you work with for 10 years, you don't even mention them when you're gone. And then he goes on to talk about Mina Kimes and Malika Andrews getting better deals, and Kimes makes over $1.7 million a year, while Andrews just signed a new 2-year deal with ESPN, although the terms were not very well known. But at the end of the day, I remember when the news broke about Molly Qerim leaving, and then I saw a report come out 3 hours later about Malika Andrews getting a 2-year deal. And then I saw a report about Malika Kimes, who's a lesser known personality, getting a pay raise. And I couldn't help but think, even though I couldn't say it for certain, but you couldn't help but get a feeling that it was financial. I'm going to tell you something. I didn't know that Molly Qerim was only making $500,000 a year. If that's the case, then absolutely it's financial. Absolutely it's financial. And I'm going to tell you something else, and this is just speculation on my part. I could be wrong, but this is just from looking and observing ESPN and Stephen A. Smith over the years. I think that Stephen A. Smith is a very spiteful person. I think that success has spoiled him. I think success has what's the word I'm looking for? Success has unfortunately amplified the worst parts of his personality. The insecurity, the ego, the spitefulness. I think all of those things have become amplified. I think there's some good traits in him somewhere, but if you don't kiss this man's ass, remember, this is the same dude that said, you don't want to make an enemy out of me. I'm pretty sure that extends to his colleagues. Secondly, when you look at his history, he never really seems to go out on a limb for any of his colleagues. He openly admits that he was hostile toward Max Kellerman at the end. And honestly, we all know, and from just an observation, that he really took it out on Max Kellerman what Terrell Owens told him. He took it out on Max Kellerman. Right? Talking about, oh, they don't have no chemistry, et cetera, et cetera. Nah, it's just that even though Max can be a little bit dull at times, when it comes to actual factual information, he was killing you in the debates. He was killing Stephen A. Smith. Then when Michael Irvin got into that situation, Michael Irvin was found to be not guilty. Stephen A. Smith, now I get it. It's an ongoing investigation, blah, 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 but damn. You couldn't say anything positive about the brother? I'm pretty sure he didn't go to bat for him. What I'm saying is, it's like the only people that Stephen A. Smith go out on a limb to try to do everything in his power to save the reputation are people like Jerry Jones, Dana White, etc. Now, I'm not saying Molly Qerim should have been making millions and millions of dollars, and I wasn't a big fan of hers. But my goodness, $500,000 in this market, that's not a lot of money. $500,000? You got people on YouTube to make more money than that annually. If I was her, yeah, I would leave. Now, I'm going to tell you what I think, too, what I'm starting to believe. I think that Molly Qerim caught wind on Monday when she went to work. When I'm starting to think now, and I could be wrong, guys, but I think when she caught wind, because, she's going to hear it before it hits the news media wire. When she caught wind of Melina Kimes and Malika Andrews getting those deals, and she knew that she wasn't going to get a better deal herself, like I think that she already knew in her mind, I'm going to ride out to the end of the year. But when she caught one of those deals, that's when she leaked that she was leaving at the end of the year. She leaked it. That's what I think. She leaked it. Or somebody that she knows leaked it under her permission. And that's when she wrote the Instagram post saying, I'm leaving. That's what I think happened. I don't blame her. And Stephen A. Smith, you're a scumbag. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. Tell me what you guys think.